All right, answers for the second part of the KYOTE test. All right, so for 13, which fraction is the largest? So there's multiple ways you can do this, but one way you can do this is to bring in a calculator, and you can just take 1 divided by 2, change it to decimal form, and then you can compare those. It's up to you how you want to do that. I feel like for most of you, this would probably be the easiest way. So we are looking for the largest fraction. So if we look at these, the largest fraction here is going to be E. Okay. 14, simplify. Okay, so this negative 6x is the only thing that we're going to distribute to that. This x out in front, we're just going to rewrite that. You don't do anything with that. So we have x, and then negative 6 times 8 is negative 48x to the third, because you have x and x squared. And then negative 6 times 9 is negative 54x. Then we have, you got to imagine that there's a 1 here, and you've got to distribute a negative 1 to both things inside of those parentheses. So negative 1 times 6x to the third is negative 6x to the third. And then negative 1 times negative 7, that becomes plus 7x. Okay? Again, when you just have a minus in front of a set of parentheses, you have to distribute that to both things on the inside. So that's what changes this sign here to plus. Now we're just going to combine like terms. So I have negative 48 and negative 6. Those two both have x to the third. So that is negative 54x to the third. So I use that and I use that. And then the next three terms all just have x. So when I take x minus 54x and then plus 7, I get negative 46x. So this right here is my solution, and that's E. Number 15, assuming that a car gets 25 miles per gallon, how many gallons of gas are required for the car to go 145 miles? So we get 25 miles for every gallon. If we're driving 145 miles, how many gallons are we using? So we're just going to take 145 divided by 25. And when you do that, you get 5.8. So your answer is E. Number 16, we're subtracting 2x squared plus 2x minus 1 from the 9x minus 9. So 9x minus 9 is going to be the first number. This would be like saying subtract 6 from 12. That means 12 minus 6. So here, this is going to be our first term, and this one is our second term. So I'm just going to line up my terms. So here are just the x's, and here are just the numbers, and this is an x squared, and this doesn't have an x squared. So I do negative 9 minus 1, and that's going to give me negative 8. Then we have 9 minus 2, so that's going to give us 7, and of course x. And then 0 minus 2 is negative 2x squared. So your correct answer is B. Number 17, what is 5% of 700? So we're going to change our percent to a decimal. Of means multiply, and you're going to multiply it by 700. So when we do that, we get 35. So 5% of 700 is 35. Simplify. Now, you can do this directly on your calculator. All right, so if I have 8 minus 2 parentheses 3 raised to the third. There we go. See if I can get that correct on the calculator. And that gives me negative 46, so E. All right, on the back, number 19. All right, so simplify assuming that these are all positive numbers. All right, so in order to simplify this, we look at our exponent. It's a 14. This is a square root. So what you're going to do is you're going to take 14 divided by 2, since this is a square root, and that gives you x to the 7th. So if it divides evenly, then it comes straight out just like that, out of the radical. It's no longer underneath the square root. And then I'm sorry, I apologize. That is incorrect. That is completely incorrect. All right, I apologize. So we have to factor. I apologize. So what do these have in common? What do these two terms have in common? They have x to the 6 in common. So we're going to factor or divide out x to the 6. So then we're left with this, okay? And again, this is all underneath the radical like this. We can't do anything to the plus here because we're adding that. You can't separate that under a radical, so we can't do anything with that. But this x to the 6 we can simplify. Now we take our exponent and we divide it by 2. If we get a whole number, which we did, it comes all the way out. So x to the 3rd, and then this x to the 8th plus 16 just stays under. There's nothing we can do to that since that's plus. This is being multiplied. That's why we can do something with that. So your correct answer is E. Number 20, what is the greatest common factor of the two terms? So you're looking to see what they have in common. They both have an x in common and they both have a y in common, but we need to know how many. So this is x to the 8th and x to the 3rd. So the most that they have in common is 3. And then y to the 5th and y to the 7th, the most they have in common is 5. Now this one has z, but this one does not, so we can't include that. That's not a common term or a common factor. So we have x cubed y to the 5th, so the correct answer is C. Number 21, what is the equation of the line whose graph is shown below? All right, so our y-intercept is at -4. So remember, y equals mx plus b. So m is your slope and b is your y-intercept. So if I'm looking at the graph, my y-intercept is at -4, so my b is -4. Slope, well, I went from 0, -4, and this point here is 5, 0. So if I stack them and subtract them, if I subtract these, so I have -4 minus 0 is -4, and then 0 minus 5 is -5. So my slope is going to be 4/5. So 4/5 is going down for my m. My b is -4. So there's my equation. So the correct answer on number 21 is C. Number 22, a line with slope 3 passes through this point. What is the y-coordinate of the point on the line with the x-coordinate of 4? Notice this right here is 0, 8, so that's your y-intercept. So this is my b, this is my m. So I have y equals 3x plus 8. Now, I want to know what is the y when x is 4. So I'm just going to substitute a 4 in for this x. So y equals 3 times 4 plus 8, so 12 plus 8. So y equals 20. So the correct answer for number 22 is D. 23, what is the perimeter in feet of a rectangle whose length is twice its width? Okay, and width is 5 feet. So if this is 5, right, so twice that would be 10. So this is 10, 10, and 5. So if we add up all of the sides, 10 and 10 is 20, plus 5 is 25, plus 5 is 30. So the correct answer for 23 is B. And then the last one, simplify. So this squared goes to everything on the inside. So this becomes -6 squared and x to the 7th, all of that squared. -6 squared is positive 36. So I can go ahead and mark out all 3 of those answer choices. And then power to a power, you multiply. So x to the 14th. So your answer is A. If you have any questions, let me know.